Welcome, Internet, to the PixelPlay Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast for gamers by gamers. I am one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, aka Catastrophe, joined as always by my co-hosts Adam at CS Radical and Chris at Gin and Chris. This week, we've got a bunch of news to talk about in terms of Sony coming out with their new CEOs, what we think of the two-pronged strategy, and we're also going to be talking about rumors of a new Assassin's Creed set in Japan, how we feel about that, and so much more. But if you like that and you want to get more, we post podcasts every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to see our lovely faces while we do it, you can find us on YouTube or on Spotify, where we also post a video podcast. Every Friday, we host a little sideshow called PixelPlay Side Quest, and we have our Retro Rando. Is that what we're calling it yet? Retro Roulette, where Adam plays Retro Rando, where Adam plays a random, we're not going to call it a ROM of old games, where he can go ahead and play those. So if you want to check those out, those can all be found on youtube.com.
What, you all don't own a copy of Chester Cheetah Wild Quest?
My question is, you only own one?
Fair.
Oh, that is a good response right there. That is really good.
Gentlemen, how you guys doing? What have you guys been up to? What have you guys been playing?
I mean, apart from playing, again, really bad Sega Genesis Cheeto-related games, I finished Aiden Chronicle finally, so I'll have that on the side quest. That was, if I don't count idle time, because there was a point in the game where I needed to keep the game on overnight to grind out resources and cash so I could finish all the home base building that's there. And it wasn't even really for achievements. It's just because there is a bonus building that's a theater, and it has 5 plays. And it can range from Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, and Romeo and Juliet, and then 2 other ones that... One of them is based off of their beat-em-up game that they did as a prequel before this game came out, and then the other one, it might be based on something, and I just don't know what. But as we've said with this game before, 120 characters are in your party. You can pick all of them for all of the roles, and they are fully voiced. So if you want Little Red Riding Hood completely voiced by the shark characters, you can do that. And it's amazing. It's honestly the best part of that game, and I've literally keeping this game installed so that whenever I have friends over, I can boot this up and say, here you go, pick the play, and I'm not telling you shit about these characters. It's your disaster that you get to build. Because, like, you can take it seriously. Like, the game gives you a description saying, yeah, this person is very into the characters they do. And then it'll say, this person, you know, I think they have talent if they could just stick to the fucking script, basically. Like, there's stuff like that. And it comes out with just an absolute diabolical mess of stuff. Like, especially with some of the characters being as really cheesily voiced as they are. And again, you can tell which ones that they said, take it seriously, and which ones they went to and said, just fucking have fun with it. And it's great. So that's been the last bit of my time. But I think if I put all the time together, I put maybe 65 to 70 hours tops into it. And
nice.
I'll say more in the side quests, but like, if you're a JRPG guy, it's a must play, especially on Game Pass for cheap. I would only say, and I might talk about this briefly in the side quest, wait if you own a Switch and you want to play it there, because it does not run well on it right now. But yeah, that's something to look forward to. And now I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Like, I got back into a Minecraft server with some friends, so I'm kind of in my gaming rehab stages again. So I'm trying to figure out what's next on the list, unless Game Pass throws something at me that gets a little bit of attention. I know, Chris, you posted, I think, the graphic earlier today. Chance of Sonar is on that list, so that's definitely something I'll be looking at. But in terms of what's immediately next on the list, I'm just going to go through the library and see what sticks this time.
I'm going to throw it out there for you. There's a game that got released this week that's been getting pretty good reviews. I think it's called like Pretty Kitty in the City or something like that.
I've heard things about that. I know people who have been messing with it.
I've heard it's supposed to be good, and it's free on PlayStation Plus. So, is that what it's called?
It's something like that. Yeah, I think it's
there was
also
something
on Game
else
Pass.
that got added
remember.
recently on PlayStation. I'm trying to remember what it was, because I picked that sucker up and I can't remember. That's what happens.
I'm looking it up right now.
But yeah,
that's what happens.
Chris, what have you been doing in the meantime?
I love
Little Kitty Big City. That's what it's called.
Oh, Little
okay.
Kitty Big City. That's it. Yes, it's the prequel to Sex in the City. But you're a cat. No, I'm kidding. What have I been up to? I love that Adam beat an entire JRPG when it took me 4 chapters of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like that's the same amount of time that apparently that has passed. That's actually what I've been mostly doing. I did finish Final Fantasy Mystic Quest because it took like 8 hours with the fast forward feature. I'm very far now in Rebirth. I focused mostly on story. Every time they keep stopping the story and being like, hey, did you know that there's more of these side quests? There's more of these things to go do. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not doing it. I'm almost 50 hours into this game and I'm not done it yet. Like I like story-wise, it's amazing. Whenever it's story, I don't mind how long it is because I'm so engaged in it. But I'm definitely not doing any more of the side stuff for now. I'll probably leave the game installed and go in. But yeah, I'm in the second last chapter finally. I was playing a bit yesterday, like last night, a little bit today right before work. So I'm talking like 8 a.m. But yeah, just I've been trucking along on that. The only other thing I played a little bit, which is on Xbox because Hellblade 2 is coming out. I wanted to refresh myself with Hellblade 1, so I started a new playthrough in that. And it's also a revenge play because the first time I played that, after the first achievement, no further achievements unlocked in the game. So I stopped playing on Xbox, switched over to Steam and played it there where I got all my achievements and beat the game there. So now I had this game sitting as my first Xbox game. It was also the first one I ever played when I got it. Sitting there with only one achievement, even though I clearly was like so far into the game doing every collectible and everything before I realized like, wow, there's no achievement. I guess maybe they show up later. Maybe Xbox has a delay. Sure enough, I looked it up. There was a glitch and I got screwed over and it never came up. So it's finally time. It's like 4 years later or 3.5. And I'm finally going to go back and get those achievements that I deserve. I earned those. And
Nice.
It's time to go get it. But I'm not very far in it. I play like for half an hour. I tried also playing with the headphones on because that's the game where you're supposed to play with headphones. Holy fucking hell. That is just, I'm not okay. I cannot do it. I have like the Xbox headset now. Like I tried it before, but it was with like earbuds. So it was like a little freaky, but not as bad. With an actual like over ear decent pair of headphones, holy crap. It sounded like people were sitting behind me talking to me while I was playing. It is just freaky the way they made it actually sound like that coming from different directions. So I'm gonna have to play the rest of it with like just through the TV speakers. It's my God, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Whoa,
That's awesome.
It makes me like tingle. Like there's somebody there. That's so weird. Yeah. What about you, Kaylan? What have you been playing?
Still working my way through Rise of the Ronin. I'm loving the game. The gameplay is hilarious, or the gameplay is great, but the story is absolutely hilarious because without going to spoilers, basically the whole thing is like you're a Ronin and you can like either be on the side of like the Shogun or you could be like against the Shogun. But it's funny because there's no consequence for doing like one mission or the other. So like literally I'll stab someone in the face, and then like the next mission will be like, go talk to the guy you stabbed in the face, and they're like, hey, I thought you were working with the other guys. I'm like, no, definitely not. And they're like, okay, I have no reason to doubt you. Like, it reminds me of the episode
Basically,
of, like,
you're just rolling 20s on charisma every single time.
pretty much. Like, did you guys ever watch Community?
Oh, heck yeah.
Did you see the one episode, the conspiracy episode, where like the dean just like ends up like double crossing everyone? Like, you're not double crossing anyone. You're just doing random shit for everybody. That's how I feel.
Oh, that's such a good show. Good episode.
It's such
too.
a good show.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in a lot of these games, it's like you could take the path of good or the path of evil, and you're like, well, I'm still going to kill at least 2,000 people by the end of this game, so really, what am I actually doing?
Yeah. But like I'm
Uncharted.
loving it. It's absolutely great. It's like the poor man's version of Ghost of Tsushima. But it's really good. Like I'm enjoying it. Still playing through. Want to play it when I'm not playing it. So that's a good sign. Also, booted up with James. James wanted to like play a video game with me. And I found on Game Pass 2K Lego Racer or 2K Racer Lego.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that game is awesome.
Oh, is it?
Like, yeah, like it's, I mean,
You can't
it's
go
a
wrong
kid's
with Lego
game and
games.
stuff
Let's
like
be real. Like, they're always the most
That's
solid
true.
sevens you ever
I mean,
can have.
they don't miss, really. Like, if you think, I'd say that's probably one of the most consistent franchises in gaming. Like, not saying it's amazing, but it's consistent.
No, they're
like,
just,
you know,
they're guaranteed sevens every single time.
100%. But like, this one's cool. Like, it's fun for kids and stuff like that. Like he obviously has no idea what he's doing, but he's just excited he could drive around a town and like it was really cute. We were playing the one day and he's driving the car and then he presses the A button accidentally and suddenly like these 2 turbo rockets come out the side and just blast him. And he's like, "There's turbojets," and just that was the end of it. He was just turbojetting through the rest of the city, and it's cool because if you jump in the water, your car turns into a boat, and if you go off roading, it turns into an ATV. And it's got one of, if not the best, Lego building like systems I've seen in a game that you can build anything you want. Like it's got here's the chassis, and you have all the Lego pieces. It's a little clumsy in terms of putting it together, but you can pretty much create whatever the heck you want. So we're gonna try and build a tow truck, I think, tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, that'd be cool. Also, I did not know that the cars would transform into different types of vehicles. That makes me want to load that up right now.
Yeah,
and play it.
It's pretty cool, and like the graphics aren't bad. Like it's a solid game. Like I'm very early in, and I doubt we're gonna get very far into the actual game and story and campaign. But
Need a
it's on Game
crossover.
Pass, and
We need a
it's
Lego
worth trying to-
Spy Hunter game now.
So, but yeah, it's good. Other than that, that's pretty much what I've been playing. I'm kind of on the fence of what to play because I'm going away next week. So I'm going to have about 10 hours of airtime plus airport time plus time at like hotels and stuff on vacation. So I'm debating what to play. And I'm debating whether I bring the Portal or I'm debating whether I bring the Switch or both. And I'm trying to figure out what to play. And I'm thinking I might try and get into either Prince of Persia, which I'm kind of like on the fence of getting that on the Switch because I feel like that may not be the best experience. Or do I get Balatro and get into that because everyone's talking about that?
Oh, that, yeah. Oh, if it was me, it would be Balatro just because I'm a card game fanatic.
Yeah.
So that one's hard to not get. Ooh.
Yeah.
But also that Prince of Persia game does look good. I agree though, like especially on Switch, it's like I don't know. It may not be the best version that I want to play.
Exactly. I'm not going to buy
Fast
2
forward.
copies, so it's like what I want to do.
No. Fast forward, Kaylan buys a Steam Deck.
Yeah,
For
I'm not
Prince
doing
of Persia.
Yeah, because the one thing I have is lots of time to play video games. So let's get another console. I want to bring the I want to bring the Portal, but I'm just hesitant for 2 things. One, what's the internet speed going to be at a hotel? And 2, getting past that login screen on a hotel to like actually get in and play video games. Like, I don't want to bring it and then it's doing nothing. So
True.
yeah, it's a gamble.
At that point, I'd say if you're going to bring the Portal, at least bring both. Like choose to also bring the Switch
Well,
as a backup.
I've also got that old like the Game Sire one that I got for Christmas where I could just put my phone. So I might just bring that and just remote play off my phone.
Oh, also
I could
good.
slum
Yeah,
it a bit.
Yeah, because a phone signal will be decent no matter what. Versus
Yeah, and I can log in. Like it bypasses that whole issue with the internet connection thing.
yes.
So we'll see.
Ooh,
But,
options.
yeah.
So many options.
Lots of options. Speaking of options, you know who had some options and went with them? Sony. That's the segue I'm getting for that.
That's a segue.
It's a segue. I'd say it's the best one, but it is. Do our best with what we got here. Yeah, so as we all know, Jim Ryan was out. They were looking for new CEOs, and Sony decided they couldn't choose on one, so they went with 2. It was announced this week from pretty much everyone that Sony's appointing 2 CEOs, Herman Hulst and Hideki Nishino, to lead PlayStation's business as of June 1st. So how it's going to be going is it sounds like Hideki Nishino is going to be kind of handling a little bit more of the tech and hardware side. This is coming from The Verge. Let me just pull it up. Anyways, yeah, essentially what's going to happen is Hideki Nishino is going to be covering a little bit more of the... he's going to be appointed CEO, and he's going to handle like the hardware, the tech, kind of do that kind of stuff. And also third party, well, Herman Hulst is going to be more in charge of like first party studios and translating like IP into other mediums. So like TV shows, movies, and everything like that. So we were talking about this on the Discord that we have, link tr.ee PixelPlay Podcast, about whether or not it's a good idea to have this co-CEO role. And I just wanted to think, one, how do you guys feel about the co-CEO, and what do you feel about the role of both Hulst and Nishino? Sorry.
I mean, I think it's honestly like, I mean, until we see otherwise, I think this is a big W because for 2 reasons. One, it's splitting the load, so it means that there's a proper focus rather than being one person overseeing everything. Because the problem a lot of the times is that if you have one person who is at the end of everything, it means that stuff is going to take longer to get approved because you have all these other things on top of that. But the main thing that's a big W for me is that the guys that are being put in charge of this, they aren't business numbers men. They aren't like, people that are just there for the shareholder pricing. Like, Herman Hultz was a game developer. So, like, they're bringing in people that, have actually done it rather than a lot of people who are just business acumen guys. And I mean, sure, I imagine putting a business guy is probably great for business if he does a good job of it. But at this point, with the way a lot of the industry is going, where it seems like they're consistently making decisions that gamers don't like, at least putting somebody in there who is still going to make dumb business decisions. Let's be real. It's not like Sony's going to suddenly stop making stupid decisions like they are right now currently with the region locking. At the very least, the mind that's coming up with these bad decisions is at least going to come at it from a lens of, I used to do this from a much smaller role, so I understand how it goes. So I think, like, as it stands on paper, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm pretty happy about it, but I won't care until Kevin Butler's back as the senior VP of marketing or whatever his role was back in the day.
Oh, he's dead. They killed him.
They killed him.
He made one Goodyear commercial with Nintendo, and they're gone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Chris, how do you feel about this switch up at Sony?
I have to admit, I actually love this. The reason I love it is two reasons. One, Adam actually touched upon them coming from a more development side of stuff versus just, it's the old CEO of Colgate toothpaste who freaking used to run a company, and now they're going to come and run this because they were so good at advertising or whatever reason they'd get hired. Like, this is more, it reminds me of when Iwata became like CEO at Nintendo. Like, it's got that, like, you used to be a developer, you know how things are, you may not be a great CEO, you're probably still going to make mistakes. Iwata did, the Wii U existed. And it's going to happen, but at least it'll feel different, right? It's not just like going to be them gouging for money. It's not going to, hopefully this is obviously the preferred idea here. But like, hopefully this would mean that a lot of their mistakes are now just not fully knowing the best decision, but at least trying something, kind of like with the Wii U, and it just failing. And then learning from that mistake and then making the switch. Here, instead of it being like, oh, hey, we're increasing PlayStation Plus prices and we've created a fourth tier with now you get a new avatar with your whatever, like clearly just the money gouging business kind of decisions hopefully will be less than what they were, and Sony will maybe have a little bit of a turn in a right direction, which kind of goes into my other reason that I'm very happy about this. And that's because I think Sony just needs to do something different. Choose something different that they've done before, take a different path, because what has been the path they've been on for so long with Jim Ryan and all that kind of stuff, while obviously there was good that came out of all of that, clearly Sony just started going down a path with the PlayStation. And I really think it's time, like, the things that got to get shooken up. Like, don't just get one new CEO. Let's get two guys. Let's get one from one area of the world, one from another area.
I was about to say, yeah, the fact that we got one for East and West is a very good decision too.
Huge. Because again, like Sony, it was all like business, and it seemed like bad corporate decisions versus bad game development decisions. And by shaking things up, it makes it feel like not like a reset, but the possibility of a reset and trying it different, and maybe getting excited about Sony again, where they actually now start making some slightly different decisions, whatever they may be. I have no idea. I'd be grasping at straws if I tried to decide what they are, but maybe there will be more of a focus now on the games versus the advertising or the gouging for PlayStation Plus tiers and all that kind of stuff, right? So I'm very, very, very excited about this.
I mean, it already seems like there's a reset going on because, there's that story that Sony's saying, oh, we're going to show you stuff about first-party games for this year. And we're like, wait, I thought we weren't.
Who knew a game company needs to show games? They saw
Right?
they saw what Xbox did, and they're like, oh, you're cutting studios. Yeah, we can show a couple games.
We
Just
can
dunk
show
on
a
them
couple.
again.
Yeah,
You know what?
this
It
is
wouldn't even
probably a
surprise
good
me
one.
if that's it. They'd be like, you know what? Why don't we just kind of put it? Because if there's anything Sony's always been good at, it's kicking Microsoft when they're down.
Oh, like that's a
Oh,
hobby
yeah.
for them, is dunking on Xbox.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, it's not like Sony is very much higher on the ground currently, but
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, these new CEOs come in and they like purchase Tango. Was it Tango? Whatever. What was their?
yeah,
Yeah,
Tango
Tango.
GameWorks was Hi-Fi Rush.
GameWorks. Yes, they come in and buy that. It's like that's now owned by Sony, and it's like, ooh.
I mean,
Ooh,
either
this
that
is
or they just
Bungie.
say that they've hired Shinji Mikami's like actual new team, and then they could just be like, well, technically it might as well be Tango at this point.
True.
Yeah, you guys touched on a lot of the points I had. Like, I think having the two CEOs is a great idea, and especially that you got one that's like representing like Japan and the East and sort of that market, and you have one representing like more Western side of like North America and Europe. And so I think that's good that you kind of have that balance. You're not swaying one way or the other, because both markets are pretty important to Sony. I think also dividing it in the sense of like having Herman Hulse like doing the IP in the first party studios, like that's his wheelhouse. He's not a tech guy, as far as I can tell. Like, Herman, if you want to come on and make your case, go for it. I'm gonna keep making like call outs to celebrities, and someone's eventually gonna jump on that offer. But Herman Hulse, like his background is in development, is in gaming, it is in studios, and I think having someone come from that background, like if I remember correctly, like he did Killzone, he did Horizon, like he did a lot of like the first party games that are single player, which I'm excited for. And then having someone focus on the tech side is also good, because like they can each kind of focus in their own areas and not, focus one or on the other. The other thing that I think is really interesting from at least Herman Hull's perspective, and this might just be my bias of being not in the Eastern Japanese gaming market or sphere, but Herman Hulse has a very big personality, or at least like a big connection to PlayStation fans. If I recall correctly, I think he used to at least go on the PlayStation podcast, like the official one, and like if he wasn't hosting, he was at least on there at times. Like, he's a face of the company, where I felt like Jim Ryan wasn't. Jim Ryan was very much a suit. He was a bean counter, and it felt like that. Whereas I feel like Herman Hulse has that presence where he can go on stage and kind of shoot the shit with whoever he needs to, in the same way that I imagine what they're going to probably do in like Japan for things like Tokyo Game Show is get Nishino out there and getting him talking about PlayStation, right? Like, just because they're in one wheelhouse doesn't mean they can't get the notes from the other. And so rather than having one or the other and having a translator, they can both have direct conversations with their fans in those markets. So I think this is a great idea. I'm very excited for what this means for Sony. I'm really excited for the future. I feel like this is a smart idea. Like, they're having leaders now with brands again. And I know it's going to be a bad connotation for the couple weeks it's been at Xbox, but it feels kind of like they've got their own Phil Spencer again, where it's like, hey, it's someone who's cool and down with games, and he's like, you gamers, like, once again, I know the implications of what's going on at Xbox, and it's not a good week to make that analogy, but all that goodwill that Phil Spencer had for years and years and years, Sony's back on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean,
absolutely.
the idea that they're actually separating the load to what makes a lot of sense. Like, you have one guy that's covering the first party stuff, your bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
That's his focus, to make sure Sony's properties are at its best. And that should be its focus, because what is it lacking in right now? It's first party shit. I mean, aside from the fact that Helldivers, as it was announced earlier today, I believe that it's done 12 million copies, which is insane for what that game was supposed to be when it launched. But like, that was not intentional, and it just ended up working out that way. Like, but how like I can't even remember what the last like first party Sony game was now. Like, that's how far back that my brain's not coming up with it.
I feel like
Two?
it'd probably be Last of Us Part 2, I would guess.
Oh yeah, that came out. I think,
Like, if I was
after
gonna
Spider-Man.
bet, I would guess it's that
Oh,
one.
it'd be Spider-Man 2 then, wouldn't it?
I feel like
No,
Last
Spider-Man
of Us
2 did
Part
not do
2
12 million.
remastered came out slightly after Spider-Man. I don't remember, because Last of Us Part 2 remastered was the farthest thing from
Oh, I'm
my
not talking
mind.
remastering. Like, that's not really what I'm
I was
referring
talking like
to.
I was thinking like Last of Us Part 2 is probably the last big one.
I think it actually is. Spider-Man 2 is like the last big release in terms of like
Yeah,
standalone. Because I mean,
I thought you meant like the
trying to
last one
think.
hit 12 million. How many copies did Spider-Man sell?
Well, I'm not talking about
10
sales. I'm
million?
just talking about when the last the big problem that
Oh,
they're
we're just
having
talking
right
big, then yeah, it would be Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm just talking in general about how like they haven't been releasing anything. So like they need somebody to get down there and be like, hey, like we need to get stuff going here. Like
we
I don't know
are a video game company.
We are?
Yeah, it's like we can't just mooch off of Square anymore because they're not going to do that for us now. So
you see what Xbox is doing? We don't want to do what Xbox is doing. That's a bad thing.
And then they'll be like, what is Xbox doing?
Again.
Nothing.
Wait, flip up a studio.
We should work at Sony. Gosh, there could be 5 CEOs.
I mean, to be fair,
like, we've got nothing but great ideas.
If they let me speak my mind in a boardroom, I would be fired immediately. So,
really, if you spoke your mind here, you'd be fired immediately.
Yeah, that's crazy ideas. That I'd just get fired. I'd be like,
all right, fine. The Last of Us is the greatest game.
There you go. There you go. I'd go into that boardroom and I'd be like, we're going to do the Sony PlayStation Walkman. It's the new with the old, and we're going to mix them. And then they just kick
Chris,
me out because
stop kidding yourself. You're going to be like, okay, first we're going to buy Square, and then we're going to make them make a Xenogears remake.
See, now that is thinking. That is what I want.
Yeah. I think overall it's really good, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And I think it's the right choice. It seems like a breath of fresh air for Sony, and I mean,
it's making us look forward to whatever it's going to be. And there's the constant circulating rumors that the showcase is coming this month, so who knows? But
they got like 17 days. Or
I mean, I'd expect if it's not this month, it's going to be in June because so is Microsoft. So you got to counter them.
Yeah. The one thing I find interesting is that it's Nishino who. Yeah, I'm saying it right. I just want to make sure I'm getting it right.
Nishino.
Yeah, Nishino. I find it interesting that he's in charge of third party and not Herman Hulse. I feel like they almost should have done a separation of like software and hardware, whereas it's weird that Nishino is doing third party stuff.
It also makes me wonder if their focus is more leaning into, again, the Japanese market, which has been their like the biggest thing that they've been selling for a while is that they have the best Japanese made games on the console. So it could also be a thing of like, hey, like, because if he also speaks English, like if he's or if he's bilingual, then it makes sense because he can work with both Capcom, Konami, Square Enix, all those guys, while also working with, you know, oh my God, like CD Projekt Red and other companies like that. So that's probably the reason why. Like I'm assuming Herman Hulse isn't bilingual, so I assume that
only one way to find out. Herman, come on the show and tell us.
Yeah, right.
He'll be on the episode.
I assume that's probably the reasoning, though, is that he can speak to everyone.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, and all the Western developers were bought by Microsoft, so they probably should just deal with all the third-party voties.
Well, no. Microsoft hasn't bought them all. They've started closing them all. That's different.
Yes, but they're still inactive. So I don't know.
I guess it's also like, and I don't know. I don't make video games, and I'm not in the industry, so I don't know. But maybe it's good having the hardware guy talking to third party in terms of what do you guys need? Here's what we're doing. Versus
that's also true. Yeah,
guy. That is true.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I mean, indie studios too, because I mean, the list of what it's kind of saying is that he's going to do console hardware, tech, accessories, PlayStation Network, and third-party relations, which includes major and indie studios. So you have the major publishers where you're there to be like, hey, what do you need to make the best stuff here? And then you'll be talking with indie studios being like, what are you guys doing that might be a cool thing that we can do going forward with our software? Like you could really like have somebody in there. I almost even think they should be having somebody that they specifically put in charge as the indie guy to be like, go find us the fucking like diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, that's Shuhei Yoshida is doing that.
Is that?
Yeah, I think that's Shuhei doing that.
Oh.
I didn't
double check if you want, but I think that's what he's doing.
Like I'm not sitting there on Wikipedia looking at what every single person in Sony's.
Also, I've not seen Shuhei Yoshida in a while. I'm kind of worried about his well-being. I feel like I kind of need like a picture of him holding today's newspaper. The other thing that's interesting is that with Herman Hulse being like, they're talking about him using like leveraging the IP so that he can like leverage it for movies and TV shows and stuff. And it's interesting that they're putting so much emphasis on that. Like, granted, I know we've had some hits, but like, is this? I wonder if this is a little bit jumping the gun having your CEO focus on this. Because, like, no offense, we've had Last of Us and Fallout. It's not a huge, like, successful track record.
It could be that he's more focusing on the deals that have already been made, because there's like a God of War show coming, I think, to Prime. There's a Horizon show coming to Netflix. There's I don't know. There's like everything. And also,
Yeah.
it may not even be all like this big HBO style stuff. It could be like a Ratchet and Clank cartoon.
Yeah, where's our
It could
Sly
be
Cooper animated series?
Sly Cooper animated series. I want that so bad. You have no
I just want a
idea.
Sly Cooper where it's just him doing like make it a kids cartoon and just like a weekly heist.
Exactly. I want Saturday
Yes.
morning cartoon Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, I want
Brought
Saturday
directly to the
morning
PlayStation.
Saturday morning car slooper.
Car Slooper.
It was right there. I felt like you had something and just no.
Yeah, it just it
Brain
did
lost,
not-
it's gone.
did
Move
not-
on.
yeah.
Gotta carry on without me.
Adam.exe has failed to launch.
So interesting times, but other big news coming out this week. And by the time you're listening, I think it'll already have gone live. But there is
Yeah, it's
going
supposed to be a trailer tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, I just don't remember what time it lines up because we launch our podcast every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know when Ubisoft is doing theirs. Doesn't matter. But yeah, we're gonna get our first glimpses of the new Assassin's Creed Shadow, taking place in Japan. How do we feel about this? Are you guys excited for more Assassin's Creed?
Personally,
Uh,
I'm torn because I don't know if it's going to go the Valhalla or the Mirage route. If it's more like Mirage, yes, I'm so excited. I'm down. That's a day one purchase. If it looks like it's like Valhalla, I don't know. I don't think I would be. I don't know. There's just two types of Assassin's Creeds now, and I got one I loved and one that burned me out hard. So I don't know. I'm like overly excited and worried at the same time. It's a very troubling time in my head for this.
Yeah,
So-
I'm with you. Adam, go ahead.
So it is officially 12 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern.
You better be watching that after you're watching the new episode of PixelPlay Podcast.
Yeah, you start here, then you go there.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how that
Otherwise, this whole
happens.
conversation is moot. So
I mean, I'm going to be real with you guys. Until I see unanimously really good reviews and I see that the how long to beat score is actually low than usual, I don't have interest anymore. Like, it's well past that point for me that, like, I've been asking for them to do Japan for, like, what feels like 20 years, even though it's been probably more like between 5 and 7. But, like, after playing Mirage, that gave me the sense to go, I think I'm actually done with Assassin's Creed unless they do something different. Because the formula they have now, it doesn't work with me anymore. And I think, Chris, as you were talking about with Rebirth, I think I'm just open world out, right?
Oh yeah.
So, like, I don't think those types of games work anymore. At least not with me, at least until I get a palate cleanser for a little while. So, I mean, again, am I excited? I mean, I'm curious. But, like, at this point, I don't know, like, is Japan somehow going to have some sort of, like, samurai era radio towers now? Like, Ubisoft, what are you going to do with that? Like, how, like, are you going to be at the top of a
Temples.
hill and shoot a flaming arrow and that's how we figure out what it is? Like, what's it going to be this time? Because they're going to, they're going to do it. They always, I know what it is. It's the perches, right? But it's like, I don't know. Like, am I ready to do the same thing again, just with a katana potentially and maybe some shurikens? I don't know.
Ooh, assassinate with shurikens. That actually excited me.
Like,
Nice.
I'd almost them rather, like, again, like, the formula is just stale to me. Like, I can only climb rooftops, jump in hay bales, and shunk someone from behind so many times before I go, okay, but what else? And the biggest part, too, and I'm sure you guys can probably agree with me on this, even though you're big fans of the series still, they need to figure out how to make these tailing missions better, because they're fucking
Ugh.
boring.
Yeah, they just got to remove those. I just actually don't care about them. I don't mind when it's like there's somebody walking around in the city and you got to figure out how to assassinate them and they have a set path they go around or something. I love that.
But yeah, just like walking on a
The
rooftop listening to them,
tailing?
and no one notices for some reason.
Yeah, the hiding is literally you standing at the edge of the roof looking down. Yeah, I hate those missions. Those are so awful. I guess they're trying to like change up the stuff, but it's like it's Assassin's Creed, not Listen Creed. Let's go.
No, I mean, based off of, again, what have been kind of seen for rumors and stuff, it sounds like they're going to be already doing battle passes and stuff for that, which immediately gets my brain to go, so they haven't learned.
No,
And if that's
a no.
true, then they definitely haven't learned. Then why would I ever give them the light of day at this point? Because all they really want to do is try to nickel and dime me with really long, repetitive open worlds where instead I could just give $10, get more materials faster, and not have to do it all To which I go, no, why don't you just give me a really fun game to play? God of War has some pretty big maps. I don't have the problem of being bored playing those, generally. So, like,
Yeah.
I want to say that I'd be excited for an Assassin's Creed Japan game, but the problem is I'm only excited for the idea of an open world game set in like medieval or feudal Japan. But as soon as Assassin's Creed is put up to it, especially Ubisoft's name being attached to it, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not as psyched as I used to be. Like, if this was 10 years ago, I would have been over the fucking moon about it. But now it's like,
I'm
Kaylan.
conflicted on this one. I don't mind Ubisoft games. Like, I like Ubisoft games. They have their problems, they have their issues, but they're consistent. They go back to that Lego thing where, for the most part, you're getting around a 7 game no matter what you buy, kind of thing. And I like them. Valhalla burned me out, but Mirage was exactly what I was looking for an Assassin's Creed game. I still think drop the whole like stupid whatever science fiction stuff. Just make it an like a history game. But I could look past that, and Mirage did that perfectly. Where it was like a good game until like the last bit, where it was like some supernatural space stuff, and it's like whatever, I don't care. I'm very excited. I am right now in a kind of like Japanese history is really vibing with me. I'm really enjoying it with like Rise of the Ronin, Ghost of Tsushima, Shogun. Like, I'm into that right now for whatever reason. And so for me, like an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, like we've always wanted one of these. Like as soon as like the second game came out, we're like, oh man, Assassin's Creed, like Japan, that makes sense. Let's do it. And I think there's a lot of interesting time periods they could do it, but I think there's a problem now in that their lunch has already kind of been eaten. We have a Ghost of Tsushima. We have Rise of the Ronin. Like, Ghost of Tsushima does a fantastic samurai game and kind of a ninja game too. Like, and so the way I kind of look at it is like there's 2 samurai games that have come out in the last 5 years, give or take, that I don't know what Assassin's Creed can do differently, and whether or not they go the Valhalla or the Mirage route. I think the smart choice is to do the Mirage route, like do a more stealth-based go classic. I don't know if you can go around doing a samurai game because like the combat style, like we are like Rise of the Ronin does a far better samurai fighting game, and Ghost of Tsushima is a much better sword fighting game than than any of the Assassin's Creed games have ever been. And so the way I kind of see it lends itself well is you don't play as a samurai, because samurai were pretty much like lords at the time, and I don't know how you can have a position of power and also be like this underdog secret society stabbing people. Whereas if you're playing as like a shinobi ninja, makes a lot more sense to be going around stabbing samurai lords and stuff like that. So I think that's the way I would go and have it. Like, it just lends itself better as a ninja, where you're climbing walls and running over rooftops and doing sneaky stabby missions and stuff. So like, that's the way I would go about doing it if I was them. I'm eager to see what it is. I'm not 100% sold that I'm going to play this, but it's a pretty easy layup for them to get me on board to buy it. I'm more excited for Star Wars, and I'll probably play Star Wars before I play Assassin's Creed. But like the way that this year's been turning out, like there's not a lot of games that are calling to me to play, and so this might be a good year for Assassin's Creed to come out and be like, hey, I want to play. And as long as it's not a 80-hour, action adventure game, I'm very much open to that. I miss having stealth games, and that's what I think we need. So.
Oh, well, let's be real, man. Like, if they're gonna do a Assassin's Creed in Japan, like it has to be you are a ninja and you're fighting against like the evil, like upper class
samurai.
that is the samurai. Like that's what it should be. Like they should be the Templars.
Oh,
like that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the only way that they can make it unique, because we have, like I said, a bunch of samurai games already. We have those, but we don't have a lot of stealthy ninja games. And I think that's the only way that they can do it without being hyper compared to the other games that have come out.
If there is a shot in the trailer that shows a ninja with a bamboo thing sticking out of water while he's underneath there, you have my attention, because then that's the real ninja shit.
Yeah, that bamboo straw kind of thing. Yeah, it's got to be that. It has.
I mean, if that's not the route you're going with Ubisoft, you currently have, as a time of recording, you have 15 hours to to make some changes. So go for it.
You just start quickly making that.
They just shoehorn in like a clip from like some like old 70s Japanese ninja movie and just do it and be like, you know what? That's funny still. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's
I like how I'm like
recorded
in
on
this situation
VHS.
where I'm telling them they got 15 hours and they're not even listening to this until the time it goes live.
Yeah, we go live at the same time. It would be concerning if they heard that and made it. But Kaylan, I think you made a really good point because you mentioned like there's not a lot coming out this year anyway. So if it turns out that this is a game coming out this year, even if the game is a 7, it might still do really well because it's more of a filler game at that point. Like there's not much else to compete with. It's not 2023 where Mirage had to compete with all that. This would be like, hey, instead of playing nothing, do you want to play this? And it's like, yeah, I have nothing else to play. Well, I mean, I have a backlog, but most people, I don't have really anything to play. Yeah, you know what? I'll pick this up because I'm going to play it over the holidays near Christmas because I normally game and there's nothing else out.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I mean, I think of like the holiday schedule and like what's coming out on the back half. And the only stuff I can think of is there's Star Wars
There really
Outlaws,
isn't
which I'm
anything
super
because it's not announced
pumped.
yet.
And Warhammer 2. Those are the only two. But like, think about it. Like, PlayStation is giving mixed messages, but I don't imagine we're getting a massive first-party game this year. Xbox doesn't have a studio to make a game. Nintendo, I feel like, has already kind of shot themselves in the foot. Like, they've released all their big games for 2020.
Yeah, it's that
So-
like
so
weird
I'm-
time.
I'm looking at GameSpot's game release schedule right now. September to November is dead. There's still nothing.
Just parachuted little Assassin's Creed, a little 7.5 Assassin's Creed right down the middle.
Like you've got Star Wars Outlaws currently at August 30. After that, like sure there's Stalker 2 and Warhammer Space Marine 2, but like let's be real, there isn't the de facto this is the big one. There
I'm
is
very
no,
excited
and
for
October and November are literally dead. They are
I'm excited for
literally
Space Marine.
nothing.
Yeah, like I mean, we're almost at non-E3. It's all starting to flow in. I think that's why.
Oh yeah,
Ubisoft
the list
kinda
is going to
started
suddenly
with
go from this to meh real quick.
Yeah.
So
this. Yeah, so there it
Oh,
could be
no.
where all of a sudden the holidays
no.
packed, or it could be coming in 3 years. Here's this trailer, you know, like the cinematic only, quick little hey, Fable's coming to Xbox
Again,
maybe.
still, promise.
well, I mean, like okay, I guess Kaylan, if we're looking at like AAA gem games, like
Yeah.
we're probably getting
I'm
2 or 3
I'm
more the
talking-
rest of the year. Let's be real.
Yeah,
But
I'm talking blockbusters.
in terms
and
of
I put
like
Ubisoft as
like
blockbusters.
Summer Game Fest and all the indie studio, like there's gonna be a lot of smaller stuff that's gonna be really cool. But like,
absolutely.
I don't know if we're getting a lot of big name stuff the rest of this year. I think it's gonna be pretty quiet on that front.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking blockbusters. I know there's gonna be
Yeah.
like, there's nothing coming out, but
Yeah,
like,
the list is gonna go from
tentpole
here to
games.
here, and then Microsoft and Sony's list are gonna go, meh.
Honestly, if Ubisoft can even come out with a AAA game this year, I'd be amazed because how do you
Outlaws.
come out with a triple? Oh, so there could be 2 AAA games coming out after a quadruple A game. I don't know how
They're-
they're keeping up.
they're going. No,
Well,
they're.
but-
they're
oh yeah,
sliding
here's the
back.
thing.
They're
Here's
going
your
down the hill.
logic though. How well? Okay, Metacritic. Give me 1 sec. I need to look up what currently.
I want to
Skull and
ask what's
Bones is on
going on
Metacritic.
at Ubisoft. Like, are they okay? They went from quadruple A back down to triple A. Like,
Yeah, why the downgrade? I mean,
Yeah,
things
why-
are
Okay,
expensive.
so
times
Skull
are
and
hard.
Bones is at a 59. So look at this logic. Like, hang on for a second. Just kind of walk with me here. If Skull and Bones, a quadruple A game, is a 59 from Ubisoft, why are we even talking about playing Assassin's Creed Shadows? That game is clearly going to be as bad as Lord of the Rings Gollum by this logic.
the fourth
AAA, that's got to be a 40.
the fourth A is for adequate.
The fourth
It's
A
an
is,
adequate
I don't want to play this one.
But
Quadruple.
yeah, we'll have to see. By the time this goes live, you'll be able to go see what the Assassin's Creed Shadow looks like. Hopefully, it's good. I'm pretty pumped for it. But
Yeah. So
Man,
leave a
like-
comment.
Who knows? Maybe the trailer tomorrow will be really, really cool. Well, I guess the trailer today will be really, really cool. But I don't know. Like, I've been burned so many times by these games because, like, I've played Unity. I really hated Unity. I played
dare you.
Syndicate. Wasn't a big fan. I played Origins. I really didn't like Origins. I played Odyssey. It was alright. Like, I finished it, but like, I would think I just more like the source material than I actually like the game. And then Valhalla. fuck off. That game sucks. I will fight people on that. That game is terrible. So like
Yeah.
I haven't truly enjoyed one since Black Flag, and we're at the point now that it's like I can't keep giving you chances and assume. I keep making this mistake with Square Enix, and I still haven't learned my lesson though. So, although to
Ubisoft
be
is not
fair,
Square Enix,
I
Square
console shared with
Bars,
Chris
so-
on 16, so really I didn't make a bad decision. It didn't cost me nothing
I
other
think
than
you
my
made a good
time.
decision.
I'm so proud of my purchase of 16. You don't throw that out there.
How dare you though with Unity? Unity is probably
I
one of
did
the
like
best
Unity.
Assassin's Creed.
I did like Unity.
I would put a Unity in the top 5.
Yeah, I think I would too, especially
With
looking
what?
back.
Like the competition has like Unity being top 5. That's not giving it a good rating. Assassin's Creed has like 3 good games.
You don't even know
No.
what you're.
5 good games, and one of them is Unity.
I would.
Yeah, I didn't
I would
like
probably
It's
put my list
2
just off the top.
Brotherhood and Black Flag. That's it.
No.
I think
I would
I'd
say-
rather
Odyssey
play
gets a
Unity
pass just for
over
being
Black
cool.
Flag.
Like
Looking
okay.
back-
For if you really want to like what's your top 5? Like if I was to go off the top of my head right now, it's I'd probably go Syndicate was fun. Like I enjoyed Syndicate for what it was.
Syndicate was
I
not-
maybe
did
put
not
Syndicate
like Syndicate.
5. And then
Syndicate's
put
like one of
Odyssey
the- if not the only one I
4.
didn't finish.
Maybe Assassin's Creed Brotherhood would be 3. 2 would be number 2, ironically enough, and then Black Flag I'd have as number 1.
I think for me, it would be number 1 would be Assassin's Creed 2. I think number 2 would probably be Black Flag.
Like those two are so interchangeable. Like I could change my mind every other day on that.
Number 3, I think would be. I think it would be Mirage. 4 would be Unity, and I think number 5 would be Brotherhood. And then number 6 would be Odyssey. Brotherhood and Odyssey would alternate. But once again, I felt I got burnt out on Odyssey. It was like way too much.
Yeah,
And it didn't even feel like an Assassin's Creed game. It was for me. I was
No,
playing
it's
as
just-
Leonidas. It was Sparta.
yeah. It was an Ubisoft Greek game that they threw Assassin's
Oh yeah,
Creed
it was
onto.
not an
So,
Assassin's Creed game. I use my
Yeah,
feet
so I
more
would
than
put
I use
Brotherhood.
my daggers.
You weren't
Yeah.
you're not an assassin. It's like Valhalla. It's like,
You're
hey,
Sparta.
the assassin's over there, but you're just like you're a guy or a girl or go do something else, but like
Yeah.
kill people.
I think it'd be really neat. Like I don't have the problem with the idea of them doing like like what we think of like history in terms, because like there's only so many things we can do with years, right? Like I like the idea of them doing stuff in like in the Spartan era, and then in obviously the Viking eras, like stuff where it's really like way back where we get into the fantasy element. I think it would just be cooler if they just didn't call it Assassin's Creed and just had like an off series where it's more fantasy elements and more because I like the idea that you have, Kaylan, and we've talked about this before. I wish they get away from the bullshit Apple of Eden stuff. It's like, hey guys, here's your history stuff. Like here is just 2 factions that have been at war with each other for millennia, for several millennia.
Secret Wars
Go.
behind the scenes. Yeah.
And then you can have an off series that is the exact same thing, but it's gods. And that's where you get your mystical shit. Like I think there'd be a good balance there. But
Yep.
Yeah,
I think it would also
100%.
just be more interesting too, because then you can have like played to both sides. You can do like Templar sides. You can do because they did that once. What was the heck was it called? That one you're playing like,
the one
Rogue?
where the Kellum guy,
Rogue.
what was it? What was that game?
which was such a stupid
Assassin's
idea
Creed
that
Rogue.
they released it right at the same time as Black Flag.
Yeah, and it tied into like Assassin's Creed 3, which I have to admit, looking back, I now appreciate 3 compared to what I thought of it at the time when it came out. And
Well,
I
the
think
thing
it's just because of the recent games that kind of bad sour
It was
taste.
basically like I would say that was like the first time that we got to see what would become eventually the mainline Assassin's Creeds, because that's where you started doing more open combat stuff and less stabby. I'd say it went Assassin's Creed 3, Syndicate, and then that led into Origin.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the thing I liked about Unity is Unity was still very much hide, stab.
Yes.
But Syndicate
very,
was
very
not.
much.
Syndicate was a brawler.
No, I did not like Syndicate. It had like a grappling hook and
I think that's why I liked it, is because it did so much different that it was just a breath of fresh air to me.
The more I hear you talk about this, like Adam, you need to try Rise of the Ronin. I think you would really like it.
I probably will. We'll see in
I think
about
you
12
will.
months when it's on PlayStation Plus.
It's actually called Assassin's Creed Rise of the Ronin, just so you know.
And that's the thing. The way that they're calling Assassin's Creed Shadow, that also hints that it's going to be a ninja-based game.
Oh, has to be.
That's the hope.
You're
Come
hiding in
on,
the shadow.
stealth-
Until
stealthy
they
stab
realize where their bread and butter is, and they have a crossover with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where you have the Foot Clan costumes. And Chris just went, "Oh my god, I need that."
My brain just like Mission Impossible 3, where they have that little pill and it explodes in their head and they die. But it's like, yeah, I felt like that for a moment, but of happiness.
Speaking of which,
Had a
Chris,
brain
don't think we
explosion
didn't
moment.
forget about you. What's your top 5 Assassin's Creed games?
Okay, here we go. Okay, that's hard because I have a strong, good feeling of literally from the first one to the end of Revelations. Not everybody loved Revelations, but I liked Revelations.
Wasn't
Not my
bad.
favorite. Yeah, it was.
It's a middle tier.
Yeah. So I'd probably give it to like 2 in Brotherhood, which to me is almost like, I don't know, like to give them, like I get they're separate games, but it really does just feel like a continuation of the last game, like same engine, just re-releasing almost the same game with a little bit of a continuation. But I would give it to both of them.
The only gripe I had with Brotherhood, and the only reason why Brotherhood was lower on my list, is like I did not like the 2 things I did not like that they changed with Brotherhood is I did not like the adding the elements of just like that auto assassinate where you could just have like someone pop up from anywhere and stab someone. I felt that kind of took it away a bit.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that true assassin thing or true synchronization where they started telling you like assassinate this person this way. Like it felt very much like Hitman.
It's like give me freedom.
Yeah,
give me
like let
freedom.
me kill him the way I want to. Don't like tell me I have to. Don't penalize me for not doing it a certain way. Like
Yeah,
those
that
are my
is
2
true.
gripes with Brotherhood.
That is true.
Sorry, I don't mean to derail your
Oh no, that's quite all right.
telling you why your top 5 is wrong.
So I'd probably go with them. Definitely Mirage is in there, but I think that would probably be 3 or 4. Unity's in there. I'd probably give Unity like number 3. And then this is the hard part because for number 5, I either want to give it to 3 or 1. Probably 3. Just because 1, the mechanics hadn't been built yet where you were standing over somebody, you could hit assassinate from above them. And I would always be above them, but it actually wasn't in the game yet. That wasn't introduced until the second game. So
Yep.
the first game is probably pretty rough to go back to. But I did like the idea of it and how it like fun it was, but it's improved too much with like the second and stuff game to go back to that one. So I'm gonna give it to 3.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones. If you went back and played it, I don't think 1 holds up as well as we remember it does.
Notice Black Flag was not in my list. I am not a huge Black Flag fan. I did not like all the boating. Too much boating.
What, the shanties?
Yeah. I like it. I just didn't like it as an Assassin's Creed guy. I want to
Yeah,
like
it's not a great assassin.
firing cannons. Everybody knows where I am. It's like, oh, where's the assassin? Oh, there he is. He's firing at us from his boat. I'm a pirate. I don't want to be a pirate. I want to be a pirate, but I want to be a pirate in another game that's not Assassin's Creed, but also not Skull and Bones. So I'm conflicted.
As soon as you said I don't want to be a pirate, the first thing that jumped in my head was Jerry Seinfeld. I want to be a pirate.
The pirate shirt.
Well, Chris, what about a shark pirate?
100%. 100% I'm in.
Then you will definitely love the side quest.
Yeah. I feel like if like Assassin's Creed Black Flag never came out and they just went right to Skull and Bones and released that, I think that would have been 1, a game I actually liked, and 2, a much better plan than what they did with Skull and Bones here.
I think anything it would have done would have been better than what they did with Skull and Bones.
That is true. That is true.
I could see that game eventually being worth a lot of money, and like from a collector standpoint.
Oh, 100%. I'm gonna go grab one right now.
Yep, just it's an investment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up there. If you like that, you want to hear more, we post podcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't yet, check out the side quest, which is going to go live on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to see Adam play some random games, check out Random Retro Rando on Mondays at whenever the hell it posts. I don't remember. But check it out on Mondays.
Mondays at noon. I think I'm
Mondays
actually
at
just going to put everything flat at noon now, just so it's easy, so we have a consistency thing.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
But Mondays at noon, Eastern Standard Time. If you want to be part of the Discord, part of the chat, join us at linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast. We'd love to have you there. Chat with us, chat with our friends. Be a great time. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you guys next week. Bye for now.